The Bride of the Cursed Lake. Chapter 9. The Longest Night. Part 1. What had I almost become? The question gnawed at the edge of my mind as I stood alone at the lake's edge, the swaddled bundle of ritual tools clenched tight in my hands. The memory of the altar haunted me still, the 12 stones like sentinels, the crude spiral of feathers, the terrible knowing carved into their stone surfaces. I couldn't shake the weight of it, the sense that stepping into that circle had already marked me in ways I was only beginning to understand. But if the curse could not be broken, perhaps it could be turned against itself. Perhaps there was still a way to reach her. That was the hope, thin, desperate, that brought me here tonight, on the solstice, to the water where they had all disappeared. There was no turning back, not after what I had witnessed at the altar, beneath the cold stare of the 12 stones, not after what I felt still moving inside me, quiet and patient as a second heart. Behind me, the village pressed inward, folding into itself beneath the rising fog. The windows of the houses remained dark, their shutters drawn tight like clenched teeth, blind to the shore and all that waited there. No footsteps followed mine. No eyes watched as I crossed the last of the cobbled path and stepped down onto the silted edge of the lake. Even the air seemed to hold its breath. Only then did I unwrap the bundle and begin. The flat rock near the shoreline offered just enough space for the altar I'd envisioned. The white candles placed first, standing mute and waiting. Anna's hairbrush, strands of her hair still tangled in its bristles, laid gently beside them. The vial of my own blood, sealed and heavy with intent. And last, the stone tablet, the one I had taken from the chapel on the day I returned. Its carvings, worn with age and sorrow, pressed into my skin, as though the stone itself resisted my touch. It felt almost too heavy, too alive, as if holding it too long might brand its pattern into my flesh. I lingered on it a moment longer than I should have, but in the end, I placed it at the center of the arrangement, where it seemed the ritual had always been waiting for it. This was the price the winter solstice demanded, and I had come ready to pay. The candles flared to life, their flames white and cold, casting shadows that leaned in too close, listening. The wind shifted, stirring the reeds along the water's edge, and in the breath between silence and whisper, I thought I heard my answer. Anna. I began with her name, the only prayer I had left. Anna. I called to the lake, my voice thin as frost. Anna. Again, the sound trembling out of me like breath I could not hold. Anna. Once more, each repetition pulling me further from the man I had been. The words fell empty into the fog, their meaning draining away like warmth from the air. The mist rose thick from the lake, swallowing the shore, the village, the world my voice echoed back from nowhere and everywhere at once, from a man already half unmade, and from the shape the curse had begun to carve. Anna. With each repetition, I felt the tightening coil within me loosen, stretch, unfurl into something greater than want or loss. But with each repetition, I also felt myself pulled deeper into the spiral, into the shape of the curse I thought I understood. The fog rolled across the surface of the water, each breath a shroud, each movement a burial. I knew it would end like this. I knew from the first moment she showed me the maps and myths, when she pointed to the place where her heart lived, not knowing mine would die there. She was a distant horizon, a gentle horizon, and I was drawn to her like waves to land, like rivers to drowning. I said her name as if it were an answer to every question I had never asked. I said it as if it might forgive me. Anna. The mist grew thick and strange. The candles burned on, relentless and mocking. Their wax dripped like frozen tears, each drop marking the passage of my failure, my refusal. I could no longer see the village behind me, only the pale expanse of fog where it once stood. There were no sounds but the water and my own small voice. The echo of it too began to vanish. Anna. I was alone with the altar and the dark reflection that spread from its shore. Anna. What had I almost become? I was too far from myself to know. I was too far from myself to care. The ritual continued like breath, like blood, with or without me. There was no difference. There never was. Anna. The world drifted, changed, drifted again. The wind fell silent and still, afraid to interfere. Anna. Her name was a language without words. It was all I could say. It was everything I meant to. The fog gathered itself and wrapped around the lake, around me, around what waited beneath the surface of my will. I did not stop. I could not. The space between what I was and what the curse demanded began to dissolve, as if each word I spoke pulled me closer to the edge of something I could no longer name. Anna. Was it she who spoke, or I? Had it ever been one or the other? The lake rose, restless beneath the weight of my voice, its surface straining toward the sky. Behind me, the village sank deeper into the arms of the fog, vanishing without protest. Anna. Only the lapping of the water answered, soft, indifferent. The altar blurred into the gray, its shape dissolving like memory. Anna. And the mist folding the world closed around me.